All right, let's talk, family. Walk with me for a second, literally. If you've crossed that beautiful big 6-0 milestone, or if you love someone who has, I can almost guarantee what your daily routine looks like. You wake up, lace up those comfortable sneakers, and hit the pavement for your morning walk. And hey, don't get me wrong, you feel absolutely great about it. You're thinking, look at me, I'm beating the statistics, I'm getting my steps in. My cardiologist is going to give me a gold star next week. But what if I told you that from a strict, hard-hitting medical standpoint, relying solely on that daily stroll is actually setting your body up for a massive silent crisis? Look, as a physician, I see this tragic mistake playing out in clinic rooms every single day across America. We have been completely brainwashed into believing that walking is the ultimate, all-in-one holy grail of longevity for seniors. It's a beautifully comforting myth, but today we are breaking down the brutal clinical reality. When you hit age 60, your biological clock doesn't just tick louder, it fundamentally shifts how your entire musculoskeletal system operates. There is a terrifying invisible predator lurking in your shadow, and its medical name is sarcopenia. Now don't let the fancy Greek word confuse you. Sarcopenia is the involuntary progressive loss of skeletal muscle mass and strength as we age. Starting right around your late 30s, your body quietly begins shedding about 3 to 5% of its muscle mass every single decade. But once you clear 60, that slow leak turns into an absolute structural landslide. Your body literally starts eating its own muscle tissue for breakfast if you aren't actively triggering new growth. And guess what? A casual, flat surface walk around your suburban neighborhood, no matter how beautiful the scenery is, does absolutely nothing to stop this theft. Walking is wonderful for your cardiovascular engine. It keeps your heart pumping, helps manage your systemic blood pressure, and flushes your brain with feel-good endorphins. But when it comes to saving your structural frame, walking is like bringing a flimsy plastic butter knife to a high-stakes, heavy-duty sword fight. Your muscles require mechanical tension, metabolic stress, and progressive overload to survive. Without those signals, your type 2 fast-twitch muscle fibers, the exact ones responsible for catching your balance when you trip on an uneven sidewalk, just pack up and permanently retire. That is precisely why we see thousands of fiercely independent 60-year-olds who walk 5 miles a day, yet mysteriously struggle to carry their own heavy grocery bags or get up off a deep living room couch without a massive groan. They have great hearts, but their structural scaffolding is quietly hollowed out. So, before you take another step on that pavement, we need to completely redefine what actual science-backed longevity fitness looks like. Grab your medical charts, drop the old excuses, and let's dive straight into the real reason why your current routine is failing you and exactly how we are going to fix it today. Let's put on our clinical thinking caps for a moment and look at what is happening underneath your skin, because this is where the real tragedy unfolds. Most people think aging is just about getting gray hair and a few wrinkles, but the most dangerous changes are the ones you can't see in the bathroom mirror. When you rely solely on walking, you are falling into the classic trap of just staying active without actually challenging your physiology. Here is the hard medical truth. Your body operates on a strict use it or lose it biological policy. If you don't give your skeletal muscles a powerful, undeniable reason to stay strong, your brain assumes you don't need them anymore and systematically shuts them down. This isn't just about looking toned or building a beach body. This is about your literal survival and independence. In the medical community, we look at muscle mass as a vital metabolic sink. Your muscles are where your body stores glucose and burns through blood sugar. When sarcopenia eats away at your muscle tissue, it doesn't just make you weaker, it completely deconstructs your metabolic health. This is exactly why we see a massive spike in type 2 diabetes, systemic inflammation, and sudden weight gain among seniors who walk every single day but never lift a single weight. They think they are doing everything right, yet their fasting blood sugar keeps creeping up, and their energy levels keep crashing down. Why? Because a casual walk doesn't activate those massive, power-generating muscle groups, like your glutes, your hamstrings, and your quadriceps. Walking uses low-intensity, type 1 slow-twitch muscle fibers. These are great for endurance, but they do absolutely nothing to protect your bone density or preserve your metabolic rate. When you skip resistance training, your bone mineral density drops like a stone, leaving you incredibly vulnerable to osteoporosis. Imagine your body as a high-performance American sports car. Walking keeps the battery charged and the oil flowing, which is fantastic. But if the actual steel chassis of the car is rusting away and the bolts are coming loose, it doesn't matter how well the engine runs. The moment you hit a bump, the whole vehicle is going to fall apart. That is exactly what happens when a 60-year-old with great cardiovascular health suffers a catastrophic hip fracture from a simple, clumsy trip in the kitchen. Their heart was in great shape, but their skeletal frame was completely hollowed out by years of muscle neglect. We have to stop treating muscle mass as an optional luxury for bodybuilders and start treating it as an absolute emergency medical requirement for anyone trying to live a long, healthy life in America today. You need a structural shield, and walking simply cannot build it. Now let's talk about something most doctors completely fail to mention during your annual checkup: the direct, unbreakable highway between your brain and your muscles. You see, mobility isn't just a mechanical issue. It is a deeply complex neurological process. Every single movement you make is controlled by motor units, which are essentially the electrical wires connecting your central nervous system to your muscle fibers. As we clear the age of 60, it's not just the muscles themselves that start to wither away. The actual neurological connections begin to fray and degrade. This is where the difference between walking and high-intensity movement becomes a matter of life and death. When you walk down a smooth, flat sidewalk, your brain is operating on absolute autopilot. It's a repetitive, low-stress movement that requires zero rapid firepower from your nervous system. But what happens when you're stepping off a curb in downtown Chicago, your foot catches a patch of black ice, and you suddenly lose your center of gravity? In that split second, your heart health cannot save you. Your cardiovascular endurance doesn't mean a thing. What saves you is your neurological reaction time, the speed at which your brain can send an emergency electrical signal to your fast-twitch muscle fibers to instantly snap your leg out and break your fall. If you have spent the last 20 years doing nothing but walking, those fast-twitch motor units are completely dead on arrival. They've been laid off due to total inactivity. Your brain sends the signal, but there is no one on the other end to pick up the phone. This neurological disconnect is the primary reason why falls are the leading cause of injury-related deaths among American seniors today. It's an absolute epidemic, and it is entirely preventable. When we look at clinical trials evaluating balance, agility, and fall prevention, the data is crystal clear. Walking alone does not reduce your risk of falling, not even by a single percentage point. To fix your balance, you have to challenge your proprioception, your body's ability to sense its position in space. You have to force your nervous system to adapt to unexpected resistance, multi-directional movements, and sudden shifts in weight. If you are only moving forward in a straight line at a slow, predictable pace, you are effectively training your brain to become fragile. You are conditioning your nervous system to fail you the exact moment an emergency strikes. It is time to wake up your nervous system, fire up those dormant motor pathways, and start training your body to handle the chaotic, unpredictable real world. Prescription to fix this. How do we rebuild your structural chassis and ensure you are jumping out of bed with boundless energy well into your 80s and 90s? It's time to throw out the outdated advice and embrace the ultimate medicine: progressive resistance training. Now, take a deep breath. I am absolutely not telling you to go out and bench press 300 pounds or flip massive tractor tires in a hardcore CrossFit gym. That is a one-way ticket to my clinic with a torn rotator cuff. What I am talking about is smart, calculated, and intentional mechanical overload. Clinical research shows that older adults who engage in strength training just 2 to 3 times a week experience a staggering 40% reduction in all-cause mortality. Let that clinical statistic sink in for a second. There isn't a single pharmaceutical drug on the planet that can deliver those kinds of life-saving results with zero negative side effects. When you lift weights, perform body weight squats, or use resistance bands, you are triggering a beautiful biological process called mechanotransduction. Your muscle cells literally feel the weight, panic in a good way, and send an emergency signal to your DNA to synthesize new proteins rebuild bone density, and flood your system with natural growth factors. This process completely reverses the destructive downstream effects of sarcopenia. Suddenly, your bones become denser, your joints become more stable because the surrounding muscles are locking them into place, and your chronic lower back and knee pain begins to miraculously vanish. Why? Because your muscles are finally doing their actual job, absorbing the daily impact of gravity so your fragile joints don't have to take the beating. Furthermore, strength training completely overhauls your hormonal profile. It helps naturally optimize your growth hormone levels, improves insulin sensitivity so your body handles carbohydrates like a powerhouse, and dramatically lowers systemic cortisol levels, which is the root cause of stubborn belly fat and chronic stress in older adults. If you want to keep playing with your grandkids on the floor without fearing how you're going to stand back up, if you want to travel the world without relying on airport wheelchairs, this is the non-negotiable path you must take. You have to stop treating your body like a fragile piece of porcelain that might break and start treating it like a high-performance machine that craves a real physical challenge. All right, let's bring this entire medical consultation home and build your brand new, bulletproof lifestyle blueprint. I want to be entirely clear so no one misinterprets my words. Please do not go home and delete walking from your life. Walking is still a phenomenal tool for your mental health, your digestion, and your basic cardiovascular plumbing. It is a fantastic baseline, but it must be viewed as the warm-up, not the entire workout. The ultimate elite routine for true longevity after 60 is a beautiful strategic marriage between Zone 2 cardiovascular movement and progressive resistance training. Think of cardiorespiratory fitness as your internal engine health and strength training as your external armor. You absolutely need both to cross the finish line of life in peak condition. Moving forward today, here is your official medical directive. Keep your daily walks because they are beautiful for your soul and your heart, but clear out 2 or 3 days a week for dedicated, focused strength work. Focus heavily on functional, compound movements that mimic the real-world actions of daily life. We're talking about air squats to preserve your ability to get off a chair independently, glute bridges to protect your lower back, wall push-ups to maintain upper body posture, and farmer's carries, literally walking while holding moderate weights to build an ironclad grip and core stability. Track your progress. Ensure you are eating adequate protein to give your body the actual bricks it needs to rebuild that muscle tissue, and prioritize deep, restorative sleep. Remember, aging with grace and power isn't a genetic lottery that you either win or lose. It is a series of deliberate, daily biological choices that you control. You have the ultimate authority over how your body adapts. Don't let the mainstream media or outdated advice convince you that turning 60 means it's time to slow down, take it easy, and sit on the sidelines of life. Your body is incredibly resilient, highly adaptive, and fully capable of building new strength and vitality at 60, 70, 80, and beyond. It is time to step off the autopilot sidewalk of life, pick up the weights, protect your freedom, and unlock the absolute best, strongest version of yourself. I'm Dr. Mike, and you know what we say. Stay happy, stay healthy, and let's go get those real structural gains, family. I'll see you in the next one.